Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and I've been talking about it so much. I'm so glad that... Check 1, 2, check. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I am your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. We have a lot to cover this morning. We're also here from our friend Mick Fenn. She's from the Salvation Army. As you know, I've been pushing this upcoming benefit on Sunday. It's to celebrate 140 years of the Salvation Army being in Corning, and we're going to talk to Mick about that. She's been doing the lion's share of the planning for this fun benefit, and I know we've had a lot of viewers already who have purchased tickets. It's not too late. Of course, you can get them at the door. I have some here. If I happen to be in the window, other than I suppose live on the air, maybe even live on the air, I'll take a break if you want to buy some tickets. But we'll hear all about it and what she has planned and what the Salvation Army and what they have planned. Okay, first a comment from after yesterday's show. Frank, I still don't have a warm and fuzzy feeling about Donald Trump getting in as president. I'm thinking we're liable to hear that President Biden is stepping down for health reasons, which would put Kamala in as president. Now, there would still be the election, but what's interesting about that, and I would tend to agree with you on this, to this viewer, that the power of incumbency, there's a reason for that. So I do think that in the long term would be beneficial for Kamala, but that does not negate the fact that there would still be the election. But I understand your concern. Continuing, I'm afraid that J.D. Vance's childless cat lady comment alienated a lot of pro-choice voters on both sides. The far left portion of Democrats are so tightly wound that they will make the so-called insurrection look like a church picnic if Trump gets in the office. Thank you for that comment. I have heard from a lot of people, and I'd love to hear your comments. A lot of people that don't have, to quote that viewer, a warm and fuzzy feeling about Donald Trump getting back in as president. One of the reasons I'm the most concerned is because we see the media just trying to run out the clock until November, not really questioning Harris, not even caring that she's not giving interviews, propping her up, talking about the momentum, et cetera, et cetera. It's not very difficult to keep that going for 2 months. And as of right now, there's only one debate scheduled. So she does not even have to have a great performance necessarily to be considered great, because they can, as we've seen in the past, they can say it was great. We know a lot of people will watch it, but a lot of people won't. It won't be like what we saw with Biden, of course. It's not going to be a disqualifier. Yes, there'll probably be some word salads, but they'll focus more on the attacks she makes on Trump. And we're going to talk about what some people are predicting, what some people are saying that she needs to do in that debate. But if they can get through that, and they should be able to with no problem, and say that it was a good performance, exactly what she needed to do that night, if they can do that, then you're just looking at, media-wise, smooth sailing until the November election. So we'll talk about the campaigns themselves here in just a little bit. I just want to start the show with, of course, our thoughts and prayers going out to the victims in that Georgia school shooting. It left 2 students and 2 teachers dead. This horrible scenario where, see, the problem is when you report on this, and you'll see it in the coverage from yesterday and today, the facts are still coming out. So I don't want to add to any kind of misconception or misunderstanding, maybe is a better term, of what happened. All we know, it was a heartless, thoughtless, disgusting tragedy, needless tragedy. The student, the 14-year-old crazed gunman, has been identified and arrested. And just to explain what I'm saying about rumors and maybe speculation, first I heard he was being charged as a minor. Now I'm being told he's being charged as a adult. I don't want to get into any kind of mistaken quote-unquote facts. It's just too much of a breaking story. So I'm not saying you can't talk about it and comment. I'm just not going to go into too much depth. I don't also like giving too much attention to the crazed gunman, because, you know, you talk about copycats and the like. I know there's a lot of anger this morning, not just about what happened, of course. That is a placed anger, but also that the FBI had him on their radar for a year, at a time when there's what's the word I'm looking for with the FBI? Just not a lot of confidence, a lack of confidence in the FBI. But this gunman was on the FBI's radar since last year when he was investigated by local authorities in connection to online school shooting threats, the Bureau has revealed. One thing we do know is that the attacker was stopped by a good guy with a gun, and I know the left hates that term. But Barrow County Sheriff Judd Smith made clear the Appalachia High School attacker was stopped by an armed school resource officer. We've talked about the importance of school resource officers in the past on this show. During a joint press conference with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Smith noted that the shooter was confronted by a school resource officer and faced with the option of surrendering or being shot. Now, typically, the attacker takes the route of being shot, in this case surrendering. But the attacker was stopped by a good guy with a gun. He said the shooter gave up, got on the ground, and the deputy took him into custody. When I hear these stories, and it's an unfortunate thought that we all have, is how quickly calls for gun control before the facts are out. And again, that's why we're not getting in depth, because the facts are not completely out, as we are well aware. But instantly you see calls for bans on certain guns when we don't know the details. Kamala Harris has already pushed for a gun ban. Biden as well. Harris addressed the issue with the disclaimer, we're still gathering information about what happened. We have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. She then pushed for an assault weapons ban and universal background checks and red flag laws. It is a false choice to say you're either for the Second Amendment or you want to take everyone's guns away. I'm in favor of the Second Amendment, and I know we need reasonable gun safety laws in our country. And if you recall, that's what Tim Walz also has been promoting since being thrust on the national scene as the VP nod. So that's about as much as in-depth we're going to get on it. And as facts do start becoming evident, we'll, I'm sure, talk about it in the future. But that does not stop you from talking about it. I just don't like to get give misinformation out there when it's just too new of a case, okay? So moving along here, we're going to give you an update on Hochul and Linda Sun. We also have a few updates on, other New York issues as well. Quickly on international issues such as Israel and Hamas, but the majority this morning is going to be about the campaigns as we are so near to the debate just next week. All right. So this should come as no surprise. Hochul has distanced herself from Linda Sun, her former aide, who is now being charged as a Chinese foreign agent. We talked about this extensively yesterday. The governor, during an unrelated Wednesday press conference, sharply rebuked Sun's actions and sought to minimize the former aide's role in her administration. She also said Sun was immediately fired last year when the administration became aware of the alleged misconduct and has been cooperating with federal prosecutors ever since. Quote, the indictment lays out that these actions taken by Linda Sun were an absolute betrayal of two administrations in state government. She was a mid-level aide hired by my predecessor. Now, that's important that she said that because she's putting the blame on Cuomo. Cuomo's spokesperson yesterday put the blame, or maybe the day it broke, put the blame on Hochul, suggesting, well, she moved up in rank under Hochul. I'm paraphrasing, but that was that's what they were insinuating. She worked here for more than a decade, and she lied to my administration. She violated our ethics rules, and as I said, the moment we discovered this, she was gone. Hochul added that she was not in a personal contact with Sun. That's really distancing herself. Not much. When Sun worked in her administration, had no real role in policymaking. However, Hochul acknowledged working more closely with Sun when she served as lieutenant governor in the Cuomo administration. Again, I wonder if Hochul is concerned that Cuomo's thinking about putting out a run against her. Now, we had the piece yesterday that suggested that there's a lot of pressure on Hochul to see if she is a detriment to Democrats like she was last time. Because of Lee Zeldin's powerful campaigning, nonstop campaigning, Republicans essentially won the House because of that. And so they blame Hochul in many ways. So now the article that we had yesterday that I just talked about quickly was, okay, now the pressure's on Hochul. We determine whether or not she is a detriment to her own party. So if she believes that, am I a detriment? Is she also thinking, does Cuomo see that? And does Cuomo run against me? Because she made it clear numerous times in this, well, Sun was hired by Cuomo. And, I actually had to work with her more when I was the lieutenant governor for Cuomo, almost putting more on Cuomo on that one. Now, what I do think is interesting, to a point that a viewer made yesterday about how many people are in the political sphere and how do they get to their power level. And it seems as if they get to a certain power level and no one even talks to them, works with them. I mean, who is, and I can't remember what her exact title was. The only reason I want exact title is because that is very important in the Washington world and the Albany world. So to say that this woman worked there for 10 years, barely ever talked to her, shows you how many unelected aides, bureaucrats that we don't know about. We don't know about, in this case, shady dealings. It would probably break your heart if you knew how much taxpayer dollars went to people you'll never know about, never hear about. And we're talking, I couldn't even guess the numbers. And this is just with the governor of New York and then lieutenant governor of New York. Think about what it is throughout all of Washington with senators, congressmen. But no, she had no real role in policymaking, though we've learned that she had certain press releases scrubbed and edited, to not mention Taiwan as a country, these type of things. We're going to tell you a little bit more about this. I'm not going to go too much in depth with this because we talked about it so extensively yesterday, and this is another example of more information coming out as the days go by. But what are your thoughts? Also, what are your thoughts about the upcoming debate? Hey, look at all these waves coming in. Your thoughts in general. I'd be really curious to think, to kind of pick your brain on what you think will happen during the debate next week. Also, the preparation leading up to it. Of course, we know that Harris not giving interviews, focused, I guess, laser-like on the debate itself. And again, the media is fine with that. So we'll talk about that and much more. A few other things about Hochul and the scandal of having hired, though apparently doesn't even know her, having an agent for China. I also think it's interesting that, so she's got her hands in some things, whether or not Hochul wants to admit it. We've seen that. And then she comes from a somewhat, I'll guess, middle-class family. They said not really a rich background, and all of a sudden she's got Ferraris and all these mansions and all this, and no one seemed to raise any red flags. They do now. They say, oh, that did always seem suspicious, which is interesting. It's just like with Joe Biden after the debate. Well, I heard Chuck Todd saying this. Well, I heard 2 years ago from someone in his cabinet that he was not mentally prepared for this. Well, you did? You did. Then why did the media criticize the Her report that said the same thing? If you knew, if you're so confident now in it, it's amazing how the media works. And I know we talk about it a lot on this program because it gets so frustrating. And why not? Isn't that what you want? Frustrating. It's 6:14 on your Thursday morning. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Hustleson Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselson's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselson today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Spring Saltwater Hot Tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
Rated the best hearing aids of 2023 by Forbes, the Audien Atom 2 series offers superior sound quality and functionality for a fraction of the price. For just $189 a pair, the Atom 2 features 4 different hearing modes for all types of hearing loss. It packs crystal clear sound, a nearly invisible design, and is even rechargeable.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids. They're so comfortable, I forget I'm wearing them. And the sound is amazing.
The Atom Pro 2 is our smallest hearing aid yet, featuring advanced background noise cancellation and is the world's first hearing aid with built-in UV cleaning that kills 99% of bacteria.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed without seeing a doctor or having a hearing test.
Join over 500,000 happy customers today and get the hearing you deserve.
Call 1-800-434-9816 or go to AudienHearing.com to get your pair of Audien hearing aids starting at just $189.
And we are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Thank you for everyone joining us this morning. Got some good waves coming in here. So we're talking about Governor Hochul and her top aide being charged. I guess you can't say top aide because you never even talked to her really. But still, title-wise, sounds like she was pretty influential in the administration, but being charged with being a agent for China. Well, several New York Republicans are calling for an investigation into Hochul. Representative Elise Stefanik, Representative Mike Lawler, and Representative Claudia Tenney were among the Republicans who have called for an investigation surrounding Linda Sun. Failed far-left Democrat Kathy Hochul allowed communist Chinese spy Linda Sun unfettered access to the highest levels of New York State government, Elise Stefanik said in a statement. From allowing Chinese police stations to maintaining a sister city partnership between New York City and Beijing, this is another example of New York Democrats facilitating the influence campaign of Communist China. Stefanik added that she was calling for a complete investigation surrounding Hochul and her administration to provide hardworking New York taxpayers with the transparency they deserve to have. Now, Mike Pompeo has a really good piece on this, and this is from the New York Post. Mike Pompeo, former U.S. Secretary of State, saying, "For years, I have warned that the Chinese Communist Party has been working to infiltrate America's society and government at every level. The safety and sovereignty of our nation depends on our ability to counter that threat. That is the exact message I brought to the National Governors Association as Secretary of State back in 2020, an association chaired by then New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. It appears that neither Cuomo nor his successor, Governor Hochul, took my warning seriously." Now, he goes through what is being charged. We already know about the many treasonous activities. While these details may come as a shock to some, this is exactly how the CCP operates. So without getting too much into this, and he talks about that propaganda being used on college campuses and elsewhere. But this commitment to keeping America safe from CCP infiltration has been woefully neglected by the Biden-Harris administration. Yeah, and he points to the Chinese spy balloon that wasn't taken seriously. The Biden-Harris administration did not hold the CCP accountable. The Biden-Harris White House also shut down the China Initiative, an anti-espionage program started in the Trump administration, probably based solely on it being Trump's. As for Kamala Harris, you can count on one hand the number of times she has mentioned the Chinese Communist Party on the campaign trail. She won't dare say a bad word about China. The American people should ask why. We know the media won't ask why. The truth is that Biden, Harris, Hochul, and other progressive leaders dominating the left live in a fantasy world. They believe the U.S. relationship with the CCP should be based on mutual understanding, fair competition, and cooperation around issues like climate change. This is a dangerous delusion. But don't we see this delusion on foreign policy so very often, specifically from the Biden-Harris administration, when it comes to China, Iran, Russia? America will only be secure in our relationship with China if it's centered on the understanding of the CCP's ideological hostility towards America, on transparency and reciprocity. If American entities cannot buy land in China next to a Chinese military base, we should not allow it to happen here either. And he goes and mentions other examples. We are throwing our gates open to our enemies. It has to stop, and it will only stop if we elect leaders at all levels of our government, starting with Donald Trump, who see this threat clearly and will keep America free and safe. That's Mike Pompeo. And to just kind of add to that, the New York Post editorial board says, completely undeterred by the fact that the Russian interference, now I'm talking to Russia here, Russian interference in U.S. elections proved a fantasy the first time, the Harris-Biden team is trying to launch Russiagate 2.0, even as it seems to ignore China's raging and ruthless covert activities across the country. And what a great point, because you've already seen, I'm sure, depending on what outlets you go to, I try to get as many on all sides as possible for this program, you already see this push about Russia yet again. So they raise a good point at the New York Post that it's back to Russiagate. Now it's Russiagate 2.0, and ignoring what we're seeing with our own eyes, which is Chinese infiltration into our democracy. And the Harris-Biden team rolled out the red carpet for the CCP figures back in the past. Bad enough that Democrats are laser focused on the Kremlin's wrongdoing and a partisan drive to keep the Trump-Russia myth alive. Far worse that they largely ignored China and their creep into American life. Also, well, one more completely unrelated thing when it comes to this Chinese agent working for Hochul and working for Cuomo and the Biden-Harris administration seeming to ignore this Chinese infiltration into our government. But it is a quick thing about Hochul in a way. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
I'm Mary Unkert. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. To the viewer who commented, yes, they said they worked for the state of New York and they did a background check on me. That's what's so amazing about all the red flags with this Sun lady, and yet worked there for 10 years. But apparently no one even talked to her. No one even really had any interaction with her. It's, yes, a lot of red flags. But one last quick thing about New York. Natural gas fracking is an estimated $41 billion industry in Pennsylvania and could be a boon to upstate New York. Well, since Kamala Harris now seems to support fracking wholeheartedly, now that she's running for president, even though she talked about banning fracking in the past, was very confident in wanting to ban fracking. Now, since she admitted no, she changed her mind. It's okay. She did a U-turn. We don't call it flip-flopping anymore. She did a U-turn. She grew. She evolved. Well, that's good news for Pennsylvania, but why not make it good news for New York? Hochul should let upstate New York frack. Why not? Now that her party's standard bearer has switched her view on fracking, so should Governor Hochul, who is instead not even including natural gas on the agenda of her Clean Energy Summit this week, ignoring that this vast New York natural resource is cleaner than coal and can be developed without the government subsidies required by wind and solar power. Now, we can go into all the positives of what this would do for our area, especially some of the areas throughout New York that are struggling financially. We could talk about how it would help us as a state overall, but you know what it would do. You've seen, most likely, if you've done any traveling, you've seen what it's done for Pennsylvania. But again, if Harris, the party's standard bearer, is now for fracking, having done a U-turn, having changed her mind, having evolved, then it's time for Governor Hochul to evolve and embrace fracking. As Howard Husak writes, one should not have to live in a swing state to enjoy such economic growth. Yeah, That's the only reason why she supports it now. It is perhaps the most important swing state, Pennsylvania. And just because we're on that topic of, hey, why not, right? Your standard bearer, Harris is now for it, Hochul. Let's get fracking in New York. Just to show you how radical, just in general, when we talk about energy, green activists are, excuse me, I'm getting tongue-tied, are now targeting clean hydropower. Now, we talked about this when the flooding hit our area recently. And we talked about the DEC. And there was some criticism by the politicians who came and visited saying, enough about the salamanders, enough about the mussels. We've got to start doing some cleaning and figuring out levees and things such of that nature. I'm no Army Corps of Engineer member, but I will say that there's a lot of red tape when you're dealing with the DEC. Well, that's what we're seeing now from the green activists. They don't want hydropower because they want to, quote, save the fish. Instead of using fossil fuels, we're told to use clean energy, wind, solar, or hydropower. Hydro is the most reliable. Unlike wind and sunlight, it flows steadily. But now environmentalist groups want to destroy dams that create hydropower. Breach those dams, activists shout. Now is the time. Our fish are on the line. The activists have targeted 4 dams on the Snake River in Washington state. They claim that the dams are driving salmon to extinction. And of course, the gullible media fall for it instantly. Snake River salmon are in crisis. Readers one headline. The Snake River is the most endangered in the country, claimed the evening news anchor. That's simply not true. All I have to do is look at the actual population numbers of the salmon to know that that's absurd. But this goes to show you the radicalization, and we've seen it in so many policies with the border, what hasn't gone to an extreme with the support and now lack thereof of Israel. Everything ends up going to an extreme. So you have these green groups in the name of global warming saying, hey, even though hydropower is the cleanest, the most steady, we've got to stop that now too because of a fish. Just showing you the radicalization. All right, before we go to a break, Ken had a comment here that was off topic, so I wanted to wait until we got away from kind of a theme there. I don't know if you can exactly see the theme, but there was a thread there keeping those stories together. And this is about the assassination attempt of former President Trump. And it is interesting. I know there are many Republicans calling for more investigations. Obviously, many are saying that right now the Secret Service just seem to be covering their back ends, of course. So this is what Ken had to say. I'm sure you've heard the latest in the assassination attempt on Trump from another whistleblower. Thank heavens for some of these whistleblowers. You know what? Apparently, the Secret Service didn't have enough agents to properly cover the rally, so they enlisted people from Homeland Security to fill the void. Because these people never worked protecting dignitaries in the past, they were given a 2-hour Zoom training video, which reportedly didn't play properly. Wow. And the first shot fired at the assailant was from local law enforcement, which hit and disabled the rifle. Interestingly, Homeland Security also trained at the gun range that Crooks trained at, and we still have no information on the encrypted overseas accounts. And I can't remember who was calling that out last week, the encrypted overseas account. It was someone, I want to say it was a congressman. I think we brought it up quickly on the show, or maybe we ran out of time. But that is something that has been glanced over. And of course, you also have many prominent Congress people saying, why was the crime scene cleaned up so quickly? Why was he cremated so quickly? But the encrypted overseas accounts is something that I hope that we hear more about. But obviously, the Secret Service is not telling the truth. Many people believe that at this point they're in full protection mode, protecting themselves, looking out for themselves because of just the sloppy, for lack of a better word, job that they did, which makes me more and more suspicious about who was behind the attempt. And that goes back to Ken's point about the overseas account, the encrypted overseas accounts. Yeah, we had heard that there was a heightened security threat with Iran trying to have former President Trump assassinated. So yes, I don't know if we'll ever know the full truth, because I think Secret Service, going back to what we've been talking about the last couple of days, and bureaucracy and nameless, faceless bureaucrats you'll never vote for, and the power they have, their biggest job in many instances is keeping their job, keeping those paychecks coming in. All right, we are going to get to the presidential race, the election 2024 in just a moment. I have just enough time to bring this up, and then we're going to move away because these are all kind of updates from the last couple days. We're learning now that the 6 Israeli hostages whose bodies were found Saturday have been murdered by Hamas in a tunnel in Rafah in Gaza, underneath a child's room with a tunnel shaft surrounded by stuffed animals and Disney cartoons. This is not rare. This is not uncommon. That's why the numbers that we see where Israel bombed a hospital or whatever the case is, and that's not any specific story, but it's because it's where Hamas keeps the weapons, keeps their most powerful. So it comes as no surprise because PR-wise, if that house was to be attacked, they would say it went into a child's bedroom. But listen to this. This is what we're dealing with. We see the protests already at Columbia, the destruction, the threatening of Jewish students. And then we see it at the places like the DNC. So it's not just college campuses. This is an example in the media. The Chicago Sun-Times columnist, his name's Neil Steinberg, wrote Tuesday, are you ready for this? Quote, "If I had a choice between getting rid of Hamas and getting rid of Netanyahu, I'd choose Netanyahu." Now, he tried to explain his preference for genocidal terrorists who oppress their own people and keep these victims, keep their own people in areas that have their arms, that have their leaders in case there are attacks, over a democratically elected leader who can be voted out. Quote, "There will always be another terror group to take Hamas's place, but I don't think Israel can ever have a worse leader than Netanyahu." This is a prime example of something we brought up on the show in the past where the left can never put things into perspective. This has to be the worst thing right now. I have feelings about a topic, so they must be the most important feelings of all time. No one's suffered like I have. No one's thought about this in a way like I have. And that's what this scenario is, where, well, they could never get a worse leader than Netanyahu. Never being able to put anything into perspective because it's all about me. Right now, this is how I feel. The columnist made the remark at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago, Illinois last month, and reported it himself in his column, aware of his rudeness, but evidently proud of what he had said to a diplomat. So he said it to someone at the convention, not at a speech, and I guess proud of it. Again, I want to just read that so you know what Israel's dealing with, when you know those who support Israel here in America are dealing with. The Chicago Sun-Times columnist Neil Steinberg writes, and I quote, "If I had a choice between getting rid of Hamas and getting rid of Netanyahu, I'd choose Netanyahu." Now, keep in mind what Hamas did on October 7th. While there was a ceasefire going on, think of the hostages. I think there's 4 Americans that are still hostages that they have been holding, now threatening to kill more. They had the 6 that they killed on Saturday, killing more the closer Israel gets. That passes for brilliance on the left, and I think at one time we would have said the far left, but keep in mind, and it was Van Jones who said it, and I think it was a great way of saying it, and this proves Van Jones's point, that there's the marbling of anti-Semitic bigotry in the Democratic Party. So that is what we're dealing with. Now we take a break, and when we come back, the presidential election 2024. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking.
Race car drivers change lanes very fast, but with no outside mirrors. How come they don't crash? Introducing Angel View, the new wide-angle mirror that reduces blind spots. Angel View simply snaps over your car's rear view mirror, giving you a 160-degree view behind you. Just look at the difference. Look, ordinary rear view mirrors are small and flat, but Angel View has a huge mirror with curved glass. This convex shape allows you to see both blind spots with one glance. And with our Pro Edition special coating, it's anti-glare at night. Get your Angel View now for just $19.99. But wait, Angel View may be discontinued. Due to rising costs, Angel View is stopping manufacturing effective immediately. Once the current inventory is gone, it's gone forever. Order now.
Call 1-800-897-0371 or visit getangelview.com. Order now. Now there's a product that sears food, stirs it, even shreds it for you. Introducing the PowerXL StirMax Multi-Cooker with a built-in auto stirrer that gives you the freedom of adding your ingredients and walking away and coming back to meals that cook up to 60% faster. No more stirring food. StirMax technology automatically rotates the paddle clockwise, then counterclockwise, so it stirs it for you. Powerful enough to even shred food. Then the 7.5 quart pot goes right to the table to serve. With a premium ceramic coating, nothing sticks. And it's dishwasher safe. Now you can try the PowerXL StirMax Multi-Cooker with lid and recipe guide in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. You also get the steamer and rice basket for healthy meals, StirMax serving spoon that snaps in place for easy serving, and $100 in free grocery coupons. We'll even ship your order all absolutely free. This is an exclusive TV-only offer, so order now.
The Big Fox website is here now. WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news here now. WYDCTV.com.
Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. You're watching Frankly Speaking, and I do appreciate that. Let's go to some viewer comments. Ken writes, it seems that many of our politicians receive money or favors from China, either while still in office or after they re-enter the private sector, like our current president. Why would they want to be tough on China? Trump was. He didn't need China's money. That's exactly it. It all boils down to the money in this. There's no doubt about it. It's not just, it's the money they're personally making, but it's also like, look, for instance, when you hear of Hollywood making a movie and censoring parts of that movie because they want it to play in the Chinese market, because there's a lot of money to be had there. Same goes for these politicians that see, whether it's in the private sector when they're out of office or while they're in office. So that is why so many remain silent. There's no doubt. We've had the conversation with a few people on this in the past over the program. I know former Congressman Tom Reed and I talked about it on one of our times together about the old cliche, follow the money is what it boils down to. Okay. Next comment. New York has lost billions of dollars of tax money. This is in regards to fracking. And it's all been driven to rural PA. And then they make the good point, 90% of what was dirt roads in PA are now paved, thanks to gas drilling. Well, think of how many people, that you know personally that took a job in Pennsylvania at the time or moved to Pennsylvania at the time. That was common practice. It still is kind of common practice, but it was very common practice. But think of how much we've lost. Think of how many farmers that have struggled and paid exorbitant taxes here in New York on their land, and they never had the opportunity to make the money that we see from some of those in Pennsylvania. Some people that got very, very rich from Pennsylvania. My headphones just broke. So yes, that's a good point. So not just tax dollars, but think about the citizens that stood to gain in a state that so often the citizens don't gain, they end up losing. Another comment from a viewer here. We're putting them together live on the air, which I don't normally like to do. That's my fault. Okay. Good morning, Frank. Good morning. Do you have any idea how those left-wing fanatics can possibly justify threatening Jewish people? No, I don't know how they can justify it. But if you are so full of hate and so full of rage that you can actually write a piece that if I had a choice between getting rid of Hamas and getting rid of Netanyahu, I'd choose Netanyahu, then I don't think there is any need for justification. They're that unhinged. They're that, and it really is about hate. There's no other way to look at it. Any type of anti-Semitic racism, all of this, it is very much all comes from a constant anger, a constant hate. And we've seen it with politics with Trump. where you're so full of hate every single day. It's not healthy. It's costing families and friends and all of that. But also that's when you see the unhinged anger at a Trump supporter, or whatever the case may be, going back to that first comment that we had from after yesterday's program, where how bad will it be with those people that have been full of hate for the last however many years since Trump went down the escalator? What will their anger look like if he gets back in the White House? But to go back to what you had to say, there is no justifying it. It is just pure and simple hate and bigotry. The viewer then commented a little bit after, and that's what I'm reading live on the air here. I should add that these left-wingers are racist, empty-headed hypocrites. Very much hypocrites. When you look at how many times we were lectured about love trumps hate. Do you remember that saying? Love trumps hate. And how much, kindness and, the kind of all the things that have become cliche with hippies in a way. These are the same people that are now carrying Hamas flags, writing pieces like that they would choose Hamas over Netanyahu. If you could think of a better way to put it, if you're one of these people that would agree with Mr. Neil Steinberg of the Chicago Sun-Times, that if you had a choice between getting rid of Hamas and getting rid of Netanyahu, you'd choose Netanyahu, let me know. Let me know how you can justify. Let me know how, if there is any justification for intimidating, threatening, attacking Jewish students on college campuses. All right, let's get to, oh, wow. I didn't mean to go on a tangent on all those comments. Thank you for all the comments. Keep them coming in, please. Don't forget, in a little bit, we'll be talking with Mick Fenn from the Salvation Army of Corning, because they've got the big fundraiser coming up this Sunday, so she'll be joining us in the next hour. On tomorrow's program, we're going to hear from the Gaffer District to get you prepared, to get you ready for Harvest Fest. Now, Harvest Fest is coming up. I think it was the 20th and 21st of September, so you have a little time, but it's to mark your calendars and to find out if you've never been before, to maybe make plans and have family and friends come in from out of town to see Harvest Fest. So that's coming up on tomorrow's program, and we have some special guests next week as well. So let me take a short break. When we come back, we're diving in head first into the presidential election. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking after this.
Hesselsen's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselsen's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselsen's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselsen's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselsen's.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Pangea Global Tea House.
Pangea Global Tea House offers comfort foods of the world. Over 50 teas, a sampling of cuisine from over 10 countries. Globally inspired cuisine and striving to give you an ultimate experience. Come in and try the frankly delicious Turkey Club special for just $20, including your beverage of choice. Pangea Global Tea House. Yet a really good tea house bringing you the flavors of the world, offering something for everyone.
The Antler's back on Fox for a season like no other. It all kicks off with a huge Week 1 doubleheader. First, Justin Jefferson and the Vikings take on the Giants.
What a throw!
Then Tom Brady makes his debut in the booth for America's Game of the Week as Dak leads the boys.
Holy cow!
Against Watson and the Browns.
For the touchdown!
It all kicks off September 8th on Fox, home of Super Bowl.
And we are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Another comment. No, this isn't off topic, but it's kind of related to the election since inflation should be front and center. I just had this crazy thought. Other than slightly hurting the Democrats in election years, why would they try to keep inflation low? And I'll get to your points here, Ken, and then I'll give my opinion. Inflation raises retail prices across the board. Higher prices generate more revenue in state and local taxes. More revenue in taxes means less state aid from the Fed, especially to the most populated and poorest run states, which receive the most federal aid, California and New York. Reducing state aid means that Democrats have more money at the federal level for their spending and buying vote programs. When businesses charge more for their goods due to inflation, they take in more money, assuming that they keep the same profit margin percentages. They make more profit. When businesses make more profit, they pay more in income taxes to the state and federal government. It seems like if Democrats need our money for their spending and buying vote programs, inflation is their friend. Well, I think, first of all, you hit it right at the beginning that it hurts them in election years. So now they look like they hate inflation, and they're going to do everything that they can to bring inflation down. But you can't look at their policies and think that they actually want to do anything about inflation. The Inflation Reduction Act did the exact opposite, as we know. So, yes, it's just an election year talking point, and it normally hurts a Democrat because, we go to buy groceries or pay for gas and we see how much it costs, and that reflects very, very poorly on the Biden-Harris administration. So at the end of the day, I guess if you're asking, do they really care about inflation? I don't think so, or they wouldn't have put forth the policies that they did. Okay. Kamala Harris has accepted, this is the big news, has accepted the muted mic rule in the upcoming debate with Donald Trump after the initial pushback. Isn't it interesting, though, that she keeps trying to change the rules? And yet when Trump had some questions about the rules and said, hey, I agreed to a debate with Biden. I never agreed to a debate with you, so we've got to set the rules. She started the whole kind of corny, but, oh, you're scared. He was afraid to debate me. And it's all so predictable. But what I think is troubling in it, and Fox News highlights it. Now, keep in mind, ABC run by Disney. Disney's, there's some executive that is very close friends with Harris. We brought that to your attention in the past. But Harris's campaign agrees to an ABC presidential debate rule with some, quote, assurances. Yes, the agreement is after allegedly following a few assurances from the network. On Wednesday, ABC News released official rules for Tuesday's debate between Harris and Trump, including the hotly contested rule that microphones be muted while a candidate is speaking. The Harris campaign repeatedly pushed back on this rule, attempting to goad Trump in backing out of the original agreement to mute mics, even refusing to sign off on the rules last week in an attempt to renegotiate. Well, there's a couple reasons for that. If Trump were to back out, it would be the best thing for Harris. So Harris is looking for an avenue, but it can't be over something like muted mics. But the biggest point is that she wants that moment like she had with Mike Pence's, sir, I'm talking, to make it look as if Trump is disrespecting her as a woman, as a vice president. So she was looking for that, for lack of a better term, maybe a term that's overused, that gotcha moment where, sir, I'm talking. Because Kamala Harris is very much a one-trick pony in the sense of when she finds something she thinks works, she beats it to death, such as statements she's made in the past. And I never know that one that's so, former Congressman Joe Sempolinski quoted it on the show, and I've heard it so many times. It's just so out there that it never sticks in my head about don't be hindered by what was, when is, or it's something very, but she would give that in speeches quite frequently. So when she finds something that she likes or thinks works, it's a broken record. That's what we have here, that, hey, that worked. So we're gonna try it again. Just watch her career. I know the media is banking on the fact that you haven't been paying attention to Harris for the last 3.5 years, 3.5 plus, over 4 years, really, if you think about the campaign. But yeah, when she finds something, she runs with it. But CNN reported Wednesday that Harris accepted the rules after receiving separate assurances that mics could be turned on during the debate and the moderators would explain unheard exchanges. So basically, she got away on this? I'm confused. So the mics could be turned on during the debate. So the assurance is, hey, ABC, if Trump's starting to say something in the middle of my speech that looks like it could help me, you're going to help me, right, ABC? Yes, we will give you that assurance. And, okay, if you don't turn on the mic at the appropriate time, can the moderators translate what Trump just said? Yes, absolutely. Anything for you. ABC News has offered assurances to the Harris campaign that if there is significant crosstalk between Harris and Trump, the network may choose to turn on the mics. so the public can understand what is happening. The moderator would discourage either candidate from interrupting constantly, and the moderator would also work to explain to viewers what is being said, according to the source familiar. Well, this sounds like a nightmare. This doesn't sound like the original rules at all. First of all, do you, as many times as moderators are wrong, especially if you look at even in interviews, not scripted interviews, but with that interview with Tom Cotton, where the host of the show said that no, Harris had met with the Gold Star families. Harris had met with it, was adamant. They had to release a statement later, said, well, she hadn't met with the Gold Star families. So, and can't go back to Candy Crawley. And listen, you know my opinion on Mitt Romney, but Mitt Romney was fact-checked live during the debate by Candy Crawley, and she was wrong. So now we're going to trust these people. And of course, they were wrong for the right reasons. It was to hurt Romney. It was to hurt Trump. So you're telling me we're to trust these moderators and say, oh, right now Trump's saying this and Harris is saying that. Like play-by-play announcers? And they could just flip the switch on whenever they feel like it because there's some back and forth talk. Now, that's twofold. One, they could turn on to make Trump look bad. Two, it can give Harris that moment, that knockout punch that she's looking for when she thinks she has a good line, and the assurance would be, turn on that mic. Yeah, I got one here. You're not going to want to miss this one because there's no doubt she's going to try to crosstalk. We've already heard that her, and this is anonymous sources, but James Carville's recommending it too, to be very aggressive, to try to goad Trump into a fight. So don't worry, Kamala, there were assurances. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we come back. Last break of this hour. Stay with us. We're moving fast. This is Frankly Speaking.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
I'm Marion Kurt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Hour number one nearly in the books. So we're talking about the debate where Harris has now accepted the muted mic rule, but according to CNN, it comes with assurances. It doesn't sound like it's really muted. Now, the Harris campaign sent a letter to the network. Again, I don't know why Trump... There's not any criticism on Trump. I don't know why Trump didn't come out and say, what, now she's trying to change the rules? Was she scared? That type of thing. Maybe he did. I haven't watched every rally. But that was the line that Harris was using originally. But Harris's campaign sent this letter to ABC. Vice President Harris, a former prosecutor, will be fundamentally disadvantaged by this format, which will serve to shield Donald Trump from direct exchanges with the vice president. We suspect this is the primary reason for his campaign's insisted on muted microphones. So isn't it interesting now to say, because I don't know if it's an unfair advantage at all. I don't think it really is in the long run. I think it really helped Trump in the first debate, and he didn't want it then. So I think they always want to make the rules like they did with the Biden debate. And now that they see that, oops, they screwed up and that it actually helped Trump, now they want to change it back, and as a prosecutor, it would really help her. They continue with their article. Notwithstanding our concerns, we understand that Donald Trump is at risk to skip the debate altogether, as he has threatened to do previously, if we do not accede to his preferred format. We do not want to jeopardize the debate. For this reason, we accept the full set of rules proposed by ABC, including muted microphones. Well, listen. I don't want to see Trump skip this debate. I'm not sure why he makes those comments occasionally. I think this is a very important step in the process. Now, having said that, we mentioned it at the beginning of the show that no matter what, at the end of the day, Harris is going to do the job, according to the media, that she needed to do. That she was outstanding, that she got Trump, those type of things. So if that's the reason why Trump wants to skip it, I guess I can understand. But this is really the only opportunity the American people are going to have, it looks like, to see an unscripted, ad-libbing Kamala Harris, which is normally not a good thing. I'm not setting the bar low. I don't want to do that like so many pundits do. Not that I'm a pundit, but so many pundits do. I don't want to set that bar lower. There's going to be gaffes and word salads. All I'm saying is that is really the only opportunity. I know many of you have disagreed with me, saying I don't even want Trump to do the debate. I personally do, but I would be open to you convincing me. So let's wrap up this hour. 1 hour left together. Unbelievable. It's moving fast. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Frankly Speaking, here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer. If you used hair relaxers and have been diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call today.
Wow, you found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
Every Saturday, your game is on Fox. Because here, we got the guy that swings harder, the guy that runs faster, hits further, deals nasty. Saturdays on Fox, we got the swag, the scoops, the smiles, the steals. We got the pop, the rips, the threads, the wheels. We got the slides, the kicks, the shovels, the feels. Wow.
Hour number 2 of Frankly Speaking. Welcome. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We are talking about the debate coming up in a few days. The rules have been agreed to by the Harris campaign, the muted mics. I don't know. I think it sounds like ABC News has already admitted to changing it in so many ways. I'm not really sure how you consider them muted. What they said to Harris's team: moderators will reprimand any candidate who interrupts and ask them to repeat the comment when the microphone is unmuted, as well as giving ABC News the option of keeping both microphones open during heated crosstalks. And then we had heard that they can go back and say what the candidate had said. Now, the rest of the agreed upon rules, if you have not heard by now, they were announced. This is what they're pretty much the same as what we saw during the Biden-Trump debate. The debate will have 2 commercial breaks. Not a big fan of that, but I understand some of these outlets have no real, not the real revenue coming in like they once did, because they've lost so much trust from the American people. So this is a prime time to make a lot of money, because they need. I wonder. It doesn't say here if they're allowed to meet with their campaign during those 2 commercial breaks. Last time that was a no-go. But anyway, the debate will have 2 commercial breaks, no opening statements, 2-minute closing statements. Candidates will stand behind podiums. No pre-written notes or props will be allowed. Candidates will get a pen and a notepad. Candidates have 2 minutes to answer questions, 2 minutes for rebuttals, and 1 extra minute for follow-ups, clarifications, or responses Oh, and here we go. And staffers cannot interact with the debaters during breaks. Good. Okay. No audience will be present during the debate, and it's being held in Philadelphia. The debate will be moderated by ABC World News Tonight anchors David Muir and Lindsay Davis, who will be the only people asking the questions. And now this is interesting. Trump won a coin flip yesterday and opted to deliver the final closing statement and allowed Harris to choose her podium. The vice president selected the right podium on screen, so that's stage left, according to the network. So right on screen. Okay, interesting. And that's 9 p.m. on Tuesday, right? Yeah. Trump's campaign wrote in a statement, "We are thrilled that Kamala Harris and her team of Biden campaign leftovers, who have now been layered by Obama advisors, have finally accepted the already agreed upon rules of the debate that they wrote in the first place. Americans want to hear both candidates present their competing visions to the voters, unburdened by what has been." That's the statement there. That's what it is. Unburdened by what has been. That's what I was talking about earlier. If you're just joining us, the kind of the one trick pony of Kamala Harris, when she finds something she likes, she beats it to death. An example of that would be what she wanted to do with the mics unmuted, which was scold Trump, because it worked, she believes, with Pence. And she says in many of her speeches, you've got to be unburdened by what has been. And she always points back. No notes, no sitting down. This again, Trump's campaign. No notes, no sitting down, no advanced copies of the questions. We'll see you in Philadelphia next Tuesday. Will you be watching? Do you want Trump to take the debate? Do you not want him to take the debate? I want to hear from you. Now, James Carville. Oh, by the way, and I didn't do the best housekeeping at the top of the hour. If you are just joining us, we're going to be talking with Mick Fenn from the Salvation Army of Corning. That is in just a little bit. We'll be talking with her about the upcoming fundraiser. James Carville lays out what he believes Kamala Harris's best strategy to defeat Trump. And I'm not going to go in the whole piece, but he starts by saying, I hate to say it, but Donald Trump remains the singular most recognized name in the United States. Since he moseyed down the golden escalator in 2015, he has dominated the American airwaves and algorithms. Whether they hate him or love him, people know exactly what Trump's shtick is. That is why, despite every terrible consequence of his presidency, such as what? Was it the peace and prosperity, I wonder? Huh. Are we ignoring the last 3.5 years? Is that what's happening? I mean, I'm technically in the media, right? Should I ignore the last 3.5 years? Should I ignore, as Scott Jennings put it, that 12 out of the last 16 years, the White House was controlled by Democrats? So I should just focus on those 4 years that they blame everything on? But this is what I don't want to go through all his bashing of Trump. That's not what this whole article's point is. But number one, he believes, James Carville believes that Kamala Harris should help Mr. Trump hurt himself in the debate. And I think this is kind of common knowledge, that you let Trump get angry, you let him, for lack of a better word, get aggressive. And then James Carville calls him a train wreck. Whatever. Only this time, Mr. Trump must be the train wreck, and it's on Miss Harris to lay out the tracks. I've always believed that one good joke is worth 1,000 fact checks. By and large, Miss Harris is diverging from the normal, fear-provoking way of going about Mr. Trump. Instead of building him up as a threat to America, she's getting voters chuckling and nodding by saying of the former president and his crew that they are out of their minds. People smile when they think a politician has their opponent's number, and they like that she's calling him weird and unserious and painting a broader picture of Mr. Trump as a tired old tapestry. And we already have some indication her team is prepping her to do just this. So the line of attack will be that he's weird, that's just crazy what he said. Well, that will most likely go to Trump into a fight in a way. But James Carville's saying do it in a way that kind of turns Trump into a clown, a not serious figure. Miss Harris must enable exactly what his campaign is scared to death of, letting Trump be Trump. She should let him talk over her. Not just but goad him into spouting insane conspiracy theories about the previous election. She should use her sense of humor at key moments to get under his skin and show he's not getting to her. Wait. Is this another example? We are now told that Kamala Harris has a sense of humor. I'm not knocking her as a person. I've just never been told that she has a sense of humor or witnessed it in a way. That's interesting. So now she's a funny kind of a comedian, kind of. Just because she said, it wasn't even her. It was actually Walls who brought it up, but because they use the term weird. Okay, anyway. Now, this is also very telling. James Carville believes that Kamala Harris must break from President Biden on policy. Now, remember the headline the other day? J.D. Vance tries to tether Harris to Biden's policies or Biden's administration. She was a vice president, for heaven's sakes. So now we've been told from the beginning, from Biden himself, that Harris has been in on every important decision, every meeting. She bragged about the fact she was always the last one in the room. Now she has to distance herself. She has to say, that had nothing to do with me the last 3.5 years. I was MIA, essentially. For Miss Harris to break from Mr. Biden more explicitly than she has done so far would not be an insult to his legacy. What does he care about it? You might as well keep adding insult to Biden's legacy. Since when does anybody care about Biden's legacy? They stabbed him in the back and pushed him out. Then they didn't even give him a primetime address at the DNC. So really, she could say, I disavow everything he did. At this point, I think Biden's used to the insults from his own party that he was loyal to for 50 plus years. At this point, I think it's, par for the course. Keep kicking me when I'm down. Keep pouring salt on the wounds. Rather, it shows even more sharply that she is passionate about her own ideas and represents change rather than more of the same. She's not passionate about her own ideas from 2019. She's done a U-turn, a flip-flop on nearly every one of them, the few policies that we've heard so far from her campaign. So how can you say she's passionate about her own ideas when it seems like in 4 years, she's completely changed all of her core beliefs, which is typical. I mean, Biden changed his core beliefs on so many things for votes. So to suggest that, well, it's not insulting to Biden to get herself away from his policies. Yeah, again, I say just go on, Democrats. I guess keep insulting the man that you call George Washington. It just never ends for the guy. And I know we've had viewers say you can't feel bad for him because of his policies and what he's done to the country. I understand that. But at some point, it goes from being slapstick and being Three Stooges-esque to being watching, to use his word, a train wreck, going, whoa, this is getting bad for Biden. Anyway, display a clear growth mindset from the 2020 Democratic primaries. Miss Harris's political dance will grow more complicated before Election Day. At the same time, she must break from Mr. Biden on some policies. She has one lingering liability she will not be able to outrun: the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination campaign, in which she and a gaggle of candidates favored more exotic positions within the Democratic Party. As last week's CNN interview with Ms. Harris showed, this will be a consistent plot line deployed at her throughout this campaign. Really? By who? Carville. One interview has displayed that. Do you think the media is going to keep going back in and saying, well, you said this back in 2020? Technically 2019. No, come on. This is foolishness. The retort can be simple. I learned from my time governing in the White House. These are my positions, take it or leave it. The good news is, by doing just that, Ms. Harris would be demonstrating a capacity that Mr. Trump lacks, a growth mindset. Throughout my nearly 40 years in the campaign war rooms, through every election loss and victory, one thing has remained consistent. The most thunderous sound in politics is the boom of a single page as it turns from one chapter to the next. This November, will we drag ourselves back again, succumbing to politics of fear and anger, or instead do the most audacious thing we can and once more turn the page to a new chapter in American life? I know Kamala Harris represents the next chapter. If she stays fresh, soon the American people will too. Stays fresh. Carville knows, I mean, he's laughing all the way to the bank in this. He knows that he can say all these things. The media's not going to call her on her 2020. Oh, sure, a couple things may come up during the debate, or you might have a reporter shout a question at some point. But you're not talking serious, quote-unquote, attacks as they do with Trump on a regular basis. Running just a little bit long. Weigh in. What do you think about the upcoming debate? What are your thoughts? And I do have a couple of pieces this morning, which are one of my favorites, as you know, which are people that never want to see a Republican win the presidency or really any elected office ever again, telling Republicans what they need to do. That's always an interesting line of thought that I like to see. We also have, of course, some endorsements of Trump, some non-endorsements, and we'll be talking with Mick Fenn from the Salvation Army. So stay with us. Just getting started in hour number 2 here on Frankly Speaking.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
I'm Marian Burt. I've lived here for 70 years, but I do fine right here in my house, and I want to be here as long as I can be. And I feel comfortable knowing that if something happened to me, someone would know because of the cameras that are installed in various spots in my home. That has been a wonderful gift to me to be able to have that security and that support from Full Circle America, and that's what it's all about.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs, increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor for 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. You're watching Big Fox, and Frankly Speaking, thanks for joining us. Okay, so Harris's debate plan is to goad Trump, call out lies. Well, why would she do that? Isn't that what the fact checkers do? Supposedly. Create social media moments. Oh, going for that. No, I guess that's the new term for getting that one big, well, there you go again line like Reagan had. So that's now, I guess, considered a social media moment. This time, Harris plans to focus on what her team calls Trump's failures on the U.S. border wall. And how can she do that when she's using the border wall in campaign ads? Have you noticed that? Actually, she was even called out for it by CNN's Aaron Burnett. The K-File team scored Kamala Harris's tweets and statements going all the way back to 2017. And what they found was more than 50 instances of Harris slamming Trump's border wall. But now, new Harris campaign ads actually showcase that very wall. Wow. But that's going to be, this is, though, anonymous sources. This is coming from Reuters, so keep it in mind. So what she wants is that moment that she had with Pence, which is, "Sir, I'm talking." Harris' rebuke of Pence's interruptions was probably the most remembered by American voters for that. She was. So she's going to go after COVID-19. She's going to go after infrastructure, border wall, while trying to avoid getting pulled into personal attacks. For their part, Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, have attacked Harris and President Biden on inflation, the high number of illegal immigrants crossing the U.S. southern border, and economic proposals they say will drive up government spending. More COVID deaths occurred during Biden's term than Trump's. after Biden lost political battles over masking and vaccines. Trump's personal attacks on Harris have escalated as she has edged ahead of him in national opinion polls since Biden was pushed out. We're going to talk about that. It's just interesting to see how these people say what needs to be done, what they're hearing is going to be done. James Carville probably being the one that's quoted the most, that they're saying basically you got to keep saying weird. Now, speaking of that, and we can get away from the debate, but I would love to know what you have to say about it. We do have our guest coming up in just a few moments. Going back to Tim Walz, and this is a question that I think is fair to ask of Harrison Walz that is being asked maybe in conservative circles, but obviously it's not being asked by the media to Harris because Harris isn't giving interviews. But that if you have all these great plans, why don't you get in there now? I mean, you've been there 3.5 years. Now, James Carville's saying distance yourself from Biden. It's not going to be insulting to Biden, which I think is more saying Biden's just used to it by now. He's used to the gut punches from his own party he was loyal to for 50 plus years. I guess, but get away from him and say, hey, I've been in the White House, but I have different positions. Again, I think then you make the argument, well, why don't you go in there now and say, I can fix inflation. I can fix whatever the case may be. In this case, inflation. Tim Walz was asked about how he and Harris will lower prices. What did Tim Walz do? Ignored the questions. Just like he ignored the questions on the hostage situation the other day, the 6 dead hostages. The clip shared by Trump War Room shows Walz sitting amongst a crowd of people. One person could be heard asking, what's your administration's going to do about lowering prices? Can you answer that question, please? Of course, Walz completely ignored the question, a move apparently backed by his handlers. What a difference. I mean, think about that. They've done one interview, not even just since becoming the nominees, but since she became the presumptive nominee when Biden dropped out. Just one interview. And I know we talk about this a lot, but never receiving a vote from her own party to be in the position she's in right now, running for president. And yet the media seems to have no problem not trying to get answers from her or trying to get answers from her. They don't seem to mind that the American people, just specifically the Democrat voters, don't have a right to know who their candidate is. And really, the American people don't have a right to know who's running for president. Really interesting. And I guess this is their tactic. Stay in the basement. And yet you've got Trump and Vance going to very hostile territory. Again, if you have a chance, watch the Sunday show with Vance anytime Trump gives an interview. And so Harris gets rewarded for ignoring the media. Trump, when he goes to these hostile venues, gets called a fascist. J.D. Vance gets called weird, gets asked questions over and over again that they believe will harm him and Trump. And yet, again, we're fine with Harrison Walz not answering questions. It is extremely frustrating. Now, we're going to go to our guest. When we come back, after our guest, we have quite a few other things to get to about the campaign. I'm going to tell you what people who never want to see a Republican win ever again, what they have to say about how the only way Republicans can win. That'll be coming up a little bit later on. Quick comment from a viewer. Frank, looking forward to the debate. I'll be very interested to see Harris try to talk unscripted. I've had many jocular moments listening to her word salads over the past 3.5 years. Even with her being fed the topics prior to the debate, true to form, she will belt out nonsensical sentences as she is trying to think about something smart to say. That's a good point, Ken. And I wonder if that's where the word salads are. You see this with political commentators a lot, where they're looking for that brilliant thing to say, and they end up kind of getting into weird territory. Like we heard from a commentator, maybe yesterday's program, that Trump is going to be pregnant with the decision from Roe v. Wade, or what? It's like they try so hard, and I think there's a little bit of that's what happens with the word salads with Harris, and that's that line that I've already forgotten. But be unburdened by what was, what has been. It's a statement that she makes, and thinks it's going to be that quote. And if she's shooting for the stars, hitting for the fences. When you hit for the fences or you're already thinking about running downfield and that doesn't always go well, I think we're seeing a little bit of that with Harris in that she's looking for social media lines, meaning she's looking for that home run hit. So will she go down swinging? Will she hit it out of the park? Only time will tell. But yeah, the word salads are funny. I don't know. She's going to be well rehearsed, but there was even the word salad in the interview with Dana Bash from CNN that she practiced undoubtedly. I mean, the media said it without saying it. Practiced for it. They said that she's giving unscripted or off the record interviews with reporters, Q&A sessions with reporters on Air Force Two. So meaning, yeah, you could talk to me, but you can't report it. So why would she do that? Get some practice. How did you like that line? How would that play with your audience? Those type of things. There's no doubt. So even then, she had the based on deadlines on time, because all deadlines are based on time, of course. So it'll be interesting. I am looking forward to the debate as well. I haven't set the bar low, thinking that Trump is also going to knock it out of the park, because they're going to do everything that they can, meaning the media, to make it look like she had the best night. Even if it's, even if Trump has a decent night, better than hers, they're still going to say, oh boy, she outshined him. There's never a scenario where it's Trump beats Harris. If we're longing for the Biden debate again, not going to happen. I don't see a scenario where, on paper, in the media, in print, that Trump defeats her. I know what you could perhaps see with your own eyes. That's what's going to be very telling, to see how much. We already know the media is not going to cover her like they should for the next 2 months. Just keep her going till the clock ticks down. But I don't see any way where she gets negative coverage after this. So that's why we have to watch it with our own eyes. Anyway, running late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, please stay with us.
Hesselson's Hot Spring Hot Tub Sales Event is going on now. New technology, cleaner water, easy to use, hot water made simple. Hesselson's, your locally owned and operated hot spring hot tub store since 1955, is offering huge incentives on their saltwater hot tubs. Deluxe lifters and steps, Bluetooth music, freshwater IQ, plus 0% interest-free financing options. Come to Hesselson's today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's Hot Spring saltwater hot tub. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
Introduce brand new kitchen appliance that does all the work for you. A hassle-free solution that sears food, stirs it, even shreds it in one pot that you can set, then forget about, and come back to delicious, perfectly prepared meals that cook up to 60% faster without having to do a thing, except enjoy a little extra free time. From the trusted brand Power Excel, there's the StirMax Multi-Cooker, the revolutionary new countertop appliance with a built-in auto stirrer that gives you the freedom of adding your favorite ingredients and walking away. No more stirring food. StirMax is the one-pot solution that does everything for you. The secret is the unique pot shape and groundbreaking StirMax technology that's automatically programmed to rotate the paddle clockwise, then counterclockwise to help prevent jams and food from burning while infusing flavor. Powerful enough to even shred food. With large 7.5 quart capacity and lightweight, attractive design, the entire pan goes right to the table. StirMax features 9 different cooking functions: saute, slow cook, cook stews or soups, keep warm, steam and boil, cook risotto or rice. Plus, the multi-step smart presets, StirMax or BraiseMax, that sears and sautés food before automatically switching to simmer. With premium ceramic coating that's BPA, PFOA, and PTFE free, scratch-proof, and won't ever stick. Then the entire pan goes right into the dishwasher. Now, you can try the Power Excel StirMax Multi-Cooker with tempered glass lid and recipe guide in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. But it gets even better. You also get the entire bonus package absolutely free. You get the steamer and rice basket. For fresh, healthy meals, the StirMax serving spoon and ladle. It snaps right on top of your StirMax, plus $100 in free grocery coupons. We'll even ship your order next business day absolutely free. Plus, every StirMax comes with a 1-year ironclad VIP protection plan and a 90-day money-back guarantee. This is an exclusive TV-only offer, so order.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning, and I've been talking about it so much. I'm so glad that Mick could join us this morning to talk about it, so I don't have to keep talking about it. It's the 140th year in Corning for the Salvation Army, and to celebrate, it's time for a benefit barbecue. How's the planning going?
Fantastic. We have a lot of really exciting things coming up.
I agree. I've been promoting it a lot. because I know how important it is, and we'll get to that in a moment, but how important it is to the Salvation Army of Corning and all the great things they do for our community. But also it's one of those things and I know everybody talks about it, but as summer's winding down or perhaps even gone, it's one of those last fun events where you can kind of get together, and the idea is an old-fashioned picnic barbecue with some great music, a great time, all to celebrate.
Absolutely.
And when's the last time you've had an opportunity to do that? Well, I hope everybody does on Sunday. So tell us about the barbecue itself, what people can expect.
Absolutely. So we have Corning Catering providing the meal. Yeah. Food comes first, so I'm going to talk about
yes,
that first.
Yes, absolutely.
I have seen the menu myself, and I'm very, very excited for the food that will be provided. Yep. We also have the Corning Painted Post School Band performing some music. We've got a bunch of lawn games prepared for everyone to come. We have Beartown Road Alliance Church's youth group is providing a bunch of baked goods for a bake sale.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of fun things to do.
Yeah.
Yep. And then last but certainly not least, we have a silent auction with a lot of fantastic prizes.
Well, don't give away everything already.
I know.
We've got to keep them hooked. We've got to keep them hooked.
I won't say what all those prizes are. I've seen many of them myself, so my tickets will be going in those baskets.
You know which ones
sure.
you like, yes.
Oh, I know which ones I want,
yes.
absolutely. But that will be a very exciting event as well.
And always a big thank you to Corning Catering, who's done so much for us, because this hasn't been easy for us to pull off. And I say us because, full disclaimer, I'm the chairman of the advisory board, and I think I've made that clear, but if anybody's wondering why I'm using that term, us. But you've done the lion's share of all of this, probably 99.9%. I'm the 1% that takes the credit. That's what my goal is. I've been pretty upfront about that. But so much planning goes into this, and to have the expertise of Billy Spalding and Corning Catering to make it just a little bit easier on you and the whole advisory board. Because something like this, I've promoted benefits before. There's a lot of work to this.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be telling you. Okay. But thank you again to Corning Catering. So the food's going to be great. That's worth the price of admission. But before we talk about the gift baskets kind of specifically and some of the other things that people need to know, why is this so important? Not just to celebrate 140 years in Corning, which is a huge milestone, and that's why I've invited Congressman Nick Langworthy, Senator Tom O'Mara, Assemblyman Phil Palmisano, Corning Mayor Bill Bolin, all friends to the show. But I invited them because I know they want to celebrate 140 years of the Salvation Army doing amazing work in Corning. So there's that part to it, and that's what this is really about. But there's also the issue with funding. Going from the kettle campaign, which wasn't, let's say, as successful in years past, how much of an impact has that had on you at the Salvation Army?
All of our programs are still running.
Okay.
We still have our food pantry. We're still giving out food to everyone who walks in. We still have our shepherd's table fully operational, thanks to all of the churches and organizations that help come in and cook those meals for the community. We were able to provide a couple back-to-school things this year for families. So we're still as fully operational as we can be. We just want to expand those and be able to reach more people with the food pantry and the church and the shepherd's table and all of those. So.
Of course.
And our kids program, obviously.
Obviously the kids program. What we're known for.
Absolutely.
And that's why it is important. That's why thank you to everybody who's been so supportive of this. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Okay, so we talked about the great food, the great time, music, all that, why we're doing this event. And again, it is coming up on Sunday. It's from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Nazareth Civic Center here in Corning, which is a great location.
Yes.
I walked by it the other day. I can't believe more people don't use that for events like this.
I know.
Because it's rain or shine at this point. Okay, we're talking about the fun. But the gift baskets, which I guess you call a silent auction, we got donated some of the coolest gift baskets I've seen in a very long time.
Yes.
If you want to tell us about some of them. We can't go through all of them.
Okay, I will. We have about 11, but I won't go through all of them.
Okay.
I'll just share a few. First and foremost, Painted Post Food Pantry donated this amazing cutting board.
Our friends
with
at the
some
Painted Post
snacks
Food Pantry.
on top. So that looks stunning, and is definitely an option for the gift baskets. I also have a spa basket with a 1-hour massage.
Oh, wow.
And then all the spa essentials.
Of course.
I'll let your imagination take care of the rest of those items.
Of course. I know that.
Can't forget.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, the Corning. So Market Street, some of Market Street's favorite restaurants came together with a bunch of gift cards to do a food tour on Market Street. And
this is what I've been bragging up. This is the one that I think, especially as someone that works on Market Street, it would help me out a lot. But that's so cool because you know how it is, especially if you live around this area. You don't always check out every place. You find a favorite and you just keep going there.
Keep going.
Yep, not in this case. So that's just a taste of some of the gift baskets. So bring a little extra cash is another way to, of course, support the Salvation Army. But you know, take a chance. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be great. Now, a couple of things I had touched on it quickly, and I know you've had this happen with you. People coming and saying, "I want this many tickets. I don't even know if I can go, but I want to support the Salvation Army." Same here, and I can't thank the viewers enough who donated, came knocking on the door. I've had a few people there, stopping me on the street. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts because it is so important. But hasn't that been really refreshing? Because I think, especially you work at the Salvation Army, I think the Salvation Army is so humble about the amazing work that they do that I'm not saying it ever goes unnoticed. That's being proven by this event with people buying tickets. But you sometimes wonder if people are saying, you know, if they appreciate the Salvation Army as much as they do. And I think this has proven that they do.
Absolutely.
I have not heard anything but good. I've had people buy that don't even live in Corning that know they're not going to be able to make it. Isn't that great? So just so you know, if you've done that, we are donating those meals to and those tickets so they can come to the event to people, you know, in need, firemen, etc. You get the idea, and we receive so many. Thank you. So it's a way to build up all the people that are there, but also help out our neighbors. So what a great thing that people did. Now, I'm hijacking this conversation. I apologize. What do you think people need to know? Because you, like I said, you've planned all of this. What do you think people need to know before they head out the door on Sunday from 1 to 4 to the Nazareth Civic Center?
Prepare to have fun.
Yeah.
I am personally very excited for some of the games
that
are going to be there.
I saw the pictures.
Yep. So definitely fun for the whole family. Definitely bring cash for that gift basket raffle. Silent auction. It's going to be a lot of fun. And find one of us Salvation Army employees or board members that will be there, and we would love to share about all of the programs that we offer.
I think last I knew we were even going to, if I don't plan this far in advance, but if people want to get a really great spot for ringing the bell this year, there'll be an opportunity to schedule as well. So there's a lot you could do here, but overall it's just about having a fun, old-fashioned time at a Sunday after church picnic with great music and great food. Now, it is getting down to the wire because it's this Sunday. Where should people go for tickets? Do you think at this point they can call you at the Salvation Army?
Absolutely.
And there's that option. If I'm in the window, you can knock on the window. I'd be more than happy to sell you there. Brown's Cigar Store, we will be collecting at some point, but we want to thank our friends at Brown's for putting the tickets behind the counter for easy access throughout the week. But really, just keep in mind, you can, if you wait till the last minute, if you're one of those people, you can buy them at the door.
Yes.
So there's no option not to go. You have to go.
You have to go.
At this point.
You have to.
So, but just to give your phone number in case they have any questions, they want to be a part of it, want to make a donation.
Yep. So my work cell phone is 607-742-5879. People can reach me on that. Shoot me a text or call me, and I can give you some more information if you'd like to buy tickets. You can also call my office phone at 607-684-2006. I will answer either one.
And if anybody missed that, you know the number on the bottom of the screen that people contact and leave messages. Just contact me. And that's another way. You can contact me on the show if you say, hey, I want to meet up somewhere and I want to buy 10 tickets. I'll be happy to help or get you in touch with the Salvation Army. Mick, best of luck. Are you nervous?
Thank you. A little bit, but I'm excited. I think it's going to be a good turnout.
I can tell already with how many tickets have been purchased and hearing so many people talk about it and text. I think we're going to have a blast.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long day, but
yes,
for us, not for anybody not for anybody that attends. But and when I say us, that's of course a whole advisory board and the whole staff at the Salvation Army. So again, it's this Sunday, 1 to 4 p.m. at the Nazareth Civic Center. That's Sunday, September 8th, if you're not familiar. Celebrating 140 years with the Salvation Army in Corning for the Benefit Barbecue. I hope to see you there. Mick, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah, not a problem.
Do it again next year?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
Our water's better tasting. It's better for the planet.
That's great, sir. Can I take your order?
Oh, number 3.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install our drinking water and softening systems, we're thinking about filtering contaminants and the minerals that make water hard. So you can just think about softer, cleaner, better tasting water. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less
with no cuts or nicks.
Introducing Remington's new and improved Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results. And only through this exclusive TV offer, now you can try it in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Balder Boss is the fast, easy, safe way to shave your head, wet or dry, in 90 seconds or less, without nicks or cuts.
No nicks, no scrapes, fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
The 360-degree pivoting neck contours closely around your head curves for maximum contact, anytime, anywhere, in 90 seconds or less. With exclusive Wet Tech technology, shave in the shower, or with any foam or gel. Japanese-grade steel blades and turbo power plow through the thickest of hair, yet gentle enough it won't irritate skin. With pure lithium power that lasts up to an incredible 60 minutes. That's like 1 full month of use without a recharge. Then easily rinses clean. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groom. Now you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. But wait, order now and we'll ship it to you absolutely free. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer for the ultimate groom. Free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Every Balder Boss comes with a 5-year limited warranty where durability is guaranteed, plus a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't absolutely love it, send it back, but keep the trimmer as our gift just for trying.
I got a clean, nice, smooth shave in under 90 seconds. No nicks, no cuts.
So order now.
And we are back. Broadcasting live from the Hesselsons studio here on Market Street in Corning. And speaking of Hesselsons, I was just, in full disclosure, we pre-recorded that interview with Mick, and thank you so much for being on the program. I had Culligan cut out. I apologize to Culligan. I like to have the water bottle in the back. So that was my technical glitch. We got chatting about the upcoming fundraiser beforehand, getting all the final plans in place, and I didn't move the camera appropriately. So as always, as we always say on the program, thank you to Culligan. And I know Joe Sempolinski always makes sure to bring him up as well. He's a big fan of Culligan when he was on the program. The last few times, he always is. So thank you to Culligan. All right, couple comments from viewers. Good morning, Frank. Sounds like fun. We'll count that as a wave, and thank you. It is going to be fun. The fundraiser is going to be a blast. I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope, if you're able to attend, I know it's a busy time of year, I don't think you'll regret it. There's tickets still available. You can get them at the door. If you happen to see me in the window and you knock, I can sell you a couple here. And as I said, as we said in the interview, it goes to such an amazing organization, and that's why we thank Mick for doing. You can't even say the lion's share at this point. Doing it all. As I joked, I just take the credit. Okay. Next up. Oh, yes, I didn't mention this. The cutting board that's a part of the silent auction. That is, and it's from our good friends at the Painted Post Food Pantry. That's hand custom made. There's some really neat prizes. So if nothing else, come down, get a great meal from Billy Spalding and Corning Catering, and take a chance. You won't regret it. Next up, I wish I was in town. This picnic sounds fantastic. Yes, I think it is. I do think it's going to be a good event. I'm so glad that everybody seems to be really taking to it. And again, I know I said during the interview, but thank you to everybody who watches this show and took it upon themselves, whether they could go or not, to buy tickets. We've had a lot of people buy tickets and say, hey, we're donating them back. And we're going to try to give them to as many firefighters, police officers, those in need as we possibly can. And I don't think we'll have any problem with that because, again, it's Corning Catering. Why wouldn't you want to come out and have a great meal and have a fun time? Can you take some videos of the picnic? I'll try to take some videos, probably some photos. I'm going to be busy. I'm the MC / raffle, whatever you want to call it, silent auction person / we all are. Everybody on the advisory board is going to have quite a few new titles that they weren't aware of on Sunday. So I will try to take pictures that are a little bit easier to play on the show, and I'll try to show you a little bit of that on Monday's broadcast. So thank you to that. Oh, a wave coming in. Yes, and if you do have any questions, if you want to purchase tickets, it's not too late. We still have them at Brown Cigar Store. I think we're going to try to take those and collect those probably tomorrow, maybe Saturday, but probably tomorrow. And you can stop over at the Salvation Army, walk by here, pound on the door if I'm here. I can do that for you. Or just come the day of. We're going to have plenty of tickets the day of. You're not going to want to miss it. So thank you. Again, wow, I'm glad I got so many responses. And another comment. This one involves cuss words that I can't use, but try to watch this word salad, and it's a video of Trump. I can't, so I wasn't able to watch it because of the nature of the broadcast. It would broadcast over the air. It would be too much going on. Anyway, Trump never makes any sense. Thank you very much for those comments. Okay, couple of quick things here. Liz Cheney, is there any surprise? And I know this is why Republicans who turn on Republicans, they got it made. All of a sudden, the media wants them on everything, asking them questions. They're liked by the popular kids in the media. They get to go to cocktail parties they never would have been invited to if they would have just stayed as true North Republican. So Liz Cheney, as what is not a surprise whatsoever, but apparently breaking news, has endorsed Kamala Harris, quote, because of the danger Trump poses. I would also add, when it comes to Liz Cheney, I find it interesting when she goes to various outlets to think of what those outlets used to say about her father. It's very reminiscent of, if you recall, Mitt Romney giving interviews and exclusives to badmouth Trump on outlets that try to destroy him. Or the one I always go back to is John McCain. I know I've mentioned this a lot, but John McCain was the maverick. And when he turned on Republicans or went against Republican votes, he was loved by the media. So when he became the nominee, he thought that love would continue. That's one place where Republicans never learn, because that love no longer continues. If you're the nominee or if you do something they don't like again, they will turn on you. And in that instance, I think they said he was having, and I don't think anything else ever came from it, but when he got the nomination, that he was having an affair on his wife. But Cheney saying, I don't believe that we have the luxury of writing in candidates' names, particularly in swing states. As a conservative, as someone who believes in and cares about the Constitution, I have thought deeply about this. Because of the danger that Trump poses, not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris. So if we could just parse that down a little bit. As a conservative, she'll be voting for Kamala Harris. If you just want to know a little bit about Liz Cheney, the person. When we come back, J.D. Vance roasted over this, but I can't run too late because I am running really, really late. So stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. Take it in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud, or outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Ruby Horsepower with 4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. Due to high demand, only 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-980-2344. That's 1-800-980-2344, or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-980-2344 now.
The Big Fox website is Here, now, WYDCTV.com. Local and national news that keeps you informed and involved. WYDCTV.com. Today's weather, up to date and in your town. WYDCTV.com. Sports news, local events, and health stories that affect you. WYDCTV.com. The Big Fox website. Your news, here, now. WYDCTV.com.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street in Corning. Another comment, I'm going to try to pull this one off, from a viewer who is watching from Keuka Lake. Look at that beautiful view from Keuka Lake this morning. Thank you very much for that. So we got a wave, there it is, from Keuka. Thank you. All right. We got a couple other things we got to get to here. So J.D. Vance offered his criticism of Liz Cheney's endorsement of Kamala Harris. This is what, let's see, where is it here? Vance says, "You are right. Blessed are the peacemakers. Kamala Harris and Liz Cheney make very, very interesting partners. They get rich when America's sons and daughters go off to die. They get rich when America loses wars instead of winning wars. They get rich when America gets weaker in the world. We want American strength, American security, and most importantly, peace. Let's bring peace back to the world, and Donald Trump is the candidate to do it. Maybe the best thing, not the very best thing, but a very good thing I could say about the next presidency of Donald J. Trump is that he's going to make sure that people like Liz Cheney are laughed out of the Oval Office instead of rewarded. This is a person whose entire career has been about sending other people's children off to fight and die for her military conflicts and her ridiculous ideas that somehow we're going to turn Afghanistan, a country that doesn't even have running water in a lot of places, into a thriving literal democracy. And for that, Liz Cheney was willing to kill thousands of your children. Liz Cheney, you know that. I think it's the best thing in the world if she is supporting Kamala Harris." Whew. Now, speaking of Liz Cheney, this could be one of the anonymous sources. Politico tells us, Politico, not what you would consider a conservative outlet. Politico says the Republicans are secretly rooting for a Trump loss. Yeah, did you know that? A few days ago, conservative commentator Eric Erickson raised eyebrows in GOP circles when he spilled a little dirty secret on Twitter. Some Republicans are privately okay with Donald Trump's loss on Election Day. But there's another part of that secret. It's not just the never-Trumpers. Some of the Republicans wishing for a Trump loss include long-standing GOP figures throughout the nation who bleed red and wouldn't dare to say this publicly, but who are more than ready to move on from the Trump era. This morning, these Republicans get their perspectives aired by our own Jonathan Martin. This is from Politico, who argues in a new column that, quote, the best possible outcome in November for the future of the Republican Party is for Donald Trump to lose and lose soundly. I've got to say what I like about articles like this. First of all, the anonymous sources. There's so many people that would say this. They just don't dare say it publicly. Okay. All right. Okay. The other thing that I always find interesting with articles like this, not just the anonymous sources, which will drive you crazy if you really to listen to them, because I think 9 times out of 10 there's not an anonymous source on whatever the story is. But if you notice the people that always get it wrong are telling us what could be best for the Republican Party. What I mean by that is like the Bill Kristols of the world, who told us that Trump was the worst thing that could ever happen. He's not even going to make it past Iowa, blah, blah, blah. Gets every prediction wrong. But what's interesting about that is these are the same people that tell us the only way we can win is to be more moderate. The only way Republicans can win is if you choose John McCain, if you choose Mitt Romney. And as I've said on the program before, it was finally when they told us Jeb Bush was the only way that we could beat Hillary Clinton, where Republicans had said, enough. Let's go for the rabble-rouser. Let's go for the one that's not typically Washington. So those same people that got it historically wrong all those years, were happy with losing, are now telling us that the best thing that could happen to the Republican Party is no longer winning the White House. It's with a loss, and a solid loss, by Donald Trump. GOP leaders won't tell you that on the record. I just did. Okay. So the people that never want to see a Republican win any elected office, telling us what the Republican Party needs to do. Here's another example. James Carville. Do you think James Carville has Republicans' interest in mind when he says this? The only way the GOP can recover is through a blowout of Trump in November. Now, I might be mistaken. I think Republicans still have the House, correct? I mean, I don't know what this is in reference to. But remember, Republicans got blown out in 64 and won the presidency in 68. Democrats got blown out in 72 and won the presidency in 76. So what I tell my Republicans friends, if you want your party back, if you want the kind of pro-business, lower taxes, lighter regulatory cuts, stand erect at attention during the anthem, the only way you're going to get that back is through a blowout. If Harris gets 280 electoral votes, it's not going to change. And I think there's a growing recognition of that's not just from the kind of elite Washington never-Trumpers, but there seems to be a sense of that on the ground, too. There is? James Carville's going on the ground, talking to those common everyday Republicans. I get it. No, it is. It's exactly the Washington elite. It's the never-Trumpers, and they'll never understand why that leads more people to Trump in the long term, because I truly believe the pundits who told us that Jeb Bush was the only way we could defeat Hillary Clinton was when people finally had enough. Now, did you see, and this is just kind of a light story before we go to break, but that many people in Walz's family, Tim Walz, endorsed Trump. Now, in full disclosure, they have not given their names because it got overwhelming, but this is the photo of Walz for Trump. Tim Walz's family back in Nebraska wants you to know something. A political operative who helped disseminate the image told the Post that people in it were related to Walz through his paternal great uncle, but declined to give their identities, claiming that they were overwhelmed by the attention. It's just the photo. That's funny. I know the former president made light of it. Also talking about the fact that Walz's actual brother, is 100% opposed to the nominee, meaning Tim Walz. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz's older brother posted a scathing statement about the vice presidential nominee, which I'll talk about in just a second. But you can see the media's coverage of this and how different it is. Because how many Trumps have we had to hear from? Distant relatives that don't support Trump and are quoted quite often, are interviewed quite often. I don't think we'll hear too many Sunday talk shows interviews with Tim Walz's older brother. Could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. We got to take our last break of today's show, so stay with us.
Now there's a product that sears food, stirs it, even shreds it for you. Introducing the Power Excel StirMax Multi-Cooker with a built-in auto stirrer that gives you the freedom of adding your ingredients and walking away and coming back to meals that cook up to 60% faster. No more stirring food. StirMax technology automatically rotates the paddle clockwise, then counterclockwise, so it stirs it for you. Powerful enough to even shred food. Then the 7.5 quart pot goes right to the table to serve. With a premium ceramic coating, nothing sticks. And it's dishwasher safe. Now you can try the Power Excel StirMax Multi-Cooker with lid and recipe guide in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. You also get the steamer and rice basket for healthy meals, StirMax serving spoon that snaps in place for easy serving, and $100 in free grocery coupons. We'll even ship your order all absolutely free. This is an exclusive TV-only offer, so order now.
The Fox Sports app isn't just any sports app. It's your sports app. Yeah, yours. Your teams. Your highlights. Your scores. Your stories. Just choose your favorites to get more of what you want. To the end zone! And of course, stream your teams live. The best part is free with your pay TV subscription.
And we are back, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. So Tim Walz's brother wants to stay out of the spotlight, but says he's 100% opposed to his brother in that campaign, the Harris Walz campaign. So Jeff Walz posted a lot of stuff over Labor Day weekend, saying I'm 100% opposed to all his ideologies. My family wasn't given any notice that he was selected and denied security the days later. The stories I could tell, he not the type of character you want making decisions about your future, et cetera, but has since Again, not walked back what he has said. He says he disagrees with his ideology completely, but that he wants to stay out of the limelight, which I understand. And that's not the best look sometimes. Also, just a couple quick updates on Trump. Trump rakes in $130 million for his campaign in August. A haul built almost entirely by small dollar donations. The August fundraising total leaves Trump with $295 million in cash on hand 2 months out from Election Day. With Republicans united and a growing number of independents and disaffected Democrats crossing party lines, the Trump-Vance campaign has momentum for the final stretch of the race. These fundraising numbers from August are a reflection of that movement and will propel President Trump's America First movement back to the White House so we can undo the terrible failures of Harris and Biden. A top pollster, the one that the left loves to point out when he's agreeing with them. But keep in mind, does not like Trump. He is a Democrat. Nate Silvers, the founder of 538, revealed that his presidential race model now indicates that Trump has a 58.2% chance at winning the Electoral College in November compared to Harris's 41.6% chance. Trump's chances of winning are his highest since July 30th, Silver wrote. And the chance of an Electoral College popular vote split working against Harris has risen to almost 18%. Now, take that for whatever it's worth. I don't put faith in polls, but that's just something that, again, you see a lot of polls being reported on, not so much that one. Trump warned that the U.S. is approaching World War III territory under the Biden-Harris administration. That was with Hannity yesterday. We are out of time. Thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. Here's one last comment from a viewer. Good morning. Good morning, Frank. I just have to say I'm stunned by Kamala's antics and just have to wonder who believes her views on policy when it's opposite of what this administration has been about since Joe took office. Yeah, and really, it's been opposite of what she said when she was running for office back in 2019. I guess they are the ones to ask, Alexa, how to vote. Yes, Alexa, we talked about that yesterday, but that's a good point. I'm not sure. Oh, there's another comment. Sorry, I'll get to it tomorrow. We're out of time. Anyway, I will respond if it's something that I need to respond to. Thank you to Mick for being on the show this morning. I hope that you can all make it out to the Salvation Army fundraiser on Sunday. It's not too late to get tickets, or you can get tickets at the door. Have a great day, everyone. Tomorrow we'll be talking with the Gaffer District about Harvest Fest. So please tune in every weekday morning starting at 6 with Frankly Speaking, only on WYDC TV. Big Fox. Have a great day. We'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. I look forward to it already.